everybody, welcome back to my channel. I am Mama's Wife 1. I am a social media influencer. I'm a mommy influencer, a wife influencer. I'm a writer, a blogger, an author, an editor. I'm all those things. Hashtag words are my business. Anything related to words, I'm your girl. And one thing I love to do with words is I love to talk a lot. So in this video, I will be going over season 13 of Married at First Sight, a review and recap, episode 11 that aired last night on Lifetime. If you guys are not familiar with the show and you don't know the premise, go back to my videos, go to the library of my videos, go back to episode 1, maybe episode 2 as well, where I talk about what the show's premise is about and why it's just so highly entertaining and annoying and frustrating to watch on a weekly basis. So we're just going to dive right into the episode last night. So last night, all of the couples celebrated their 1-month anniversary, and it's really interesting because for them, only 4 weeks have passed, so they're at the halfway point to decision day because they have 8 weeks of this experiment before they decide if they want to stay married or get a divorce. But it's really interesting that they've only been married 4 weeks at this point when we've been traveling with these people for the past 11 weeks. So it's been almost 3 months for us of watching this train wreck of a show and this train wreck of some of these couples who just don't know how to conduct themselves or just don't know how to communicate or whatever the case may be. So we're going to start with, I know who I want to end with, but I think I want to start with Mirla and Gill. I've been saying for the past couple episodes, I really like them as a couple. I feel like they complement each other very well. They talk very well with each other. Their communication is great. And I feel like they genuinely really like and care about each other. So for their 1-month anniversary, he surprised her and took her to a winery. And this is the sweet part. All of it was really sweet because it was rose petals and it was beautiful and all that stuff. But the sweetest part is that he put a blindfold on her. And throughout the whole season, we've seen her kind of turn her nose up at blindfolds and sunglasses and stuff like that because she gets her lashes done on a very regular basis and never wants to mess up her lashes. So he had this blindfold that had safety goggles inside of it so that her lashes wouldn't get messed up. So just the thoughtfulness of Gill, and it seems like a really silly thing, but the fact that that was so thoughtful of him to think of her and make sure she was comfortable. And that's what she kept saying, like, he makes me feel safe, he makes me very comfortable. I feel like I can tell him anything. He makes me laugh every single day. And it was my first time really seeing Mirla be kind of giddy and just like, oh, my husband, yay, he's so sweet. This is such a great surprise. Like, she was just really giddy and smitten. And I love, love, love watching them together now. It's just really refreshing because all the other couples are they're messes. And I feel like at the beginning of this show, beginning of the season, I don't think any one of you would have predicted that Mirla and Gill would have been the couple that looks somewhat stable. It did not look like it was in the cards for them because they kept painting Mirla as this woman who's just so consumed with this lavish lifestyle and spending all this money and, oh, I need designer this and designer that, while Gill was painted as this kind of not down homeboy, but just, you know, very relaxed and very chilled. I'm not about that life. I'm about being a firefighter and saving lives and all this other stuff. And it seemed like they were complete opposites. But I feel like every week that goes on, we get to see them really connecting more and more. And it's really refreshing because, again, the show's premise is to bring these couples together and to create these wonderful marriages. I never want to believe that the intention of the show has changed, even though we've had some really hot messes the past at least 5 or 6 seasons. I still want to believe that the premise of the show is we want to bring these people together. We want to help them to, you know, find their person, and we want to help them create these really healthy, strong marriages that they'll continue to build on throughout the rest of their lives. That's what they want for them. That's what I want for them. So when we do see a couple, I'm going to say we, I don't speak for you guys. When I see a couple that can see that they're both clearly trying and they're working and they're growing together, it makes me happy and it makes me want to see more and more of them. All of the drama and all that stuff, I'm not really here for that. It's entertaining, but it just makes you so upset. Like, dude or girl, are you serious? So Gill and Mirla are a breath of fresh air, and I really like them. And it's funny because every season there's normally one couple who acts as the unofficial therapist for the rest of the couples, which is highly entertaining because just because your marriage is going okay during this 8 weeks and theirs isn't, that doesn't make you an expert. You've been married as long as that person has. Who gives you the authority to say anything? And this season, there isn't one couple who is doing that, but I feel like Gill is the unofficial couples therapist for everybody else. And the only reason why Mirla doesn't give her advice is because Mirla is an introvert and she's pretty quiet and she allows Gill to kind of take the lead. But Gill is the person that every time the guys get together, the couples get together, that he's the one kind of speaking up and saying, yeah, but in a marriage, you got to do this. That's just marriage. You got to try. You got to do this. It's like, dude, you don't know what the heck you're doing either. Everybody's trying to figure this out. You're not an expert. But it's just funny because every season they have somebody who thinks that they're authority on everything. And granted, now that I'm thinking about it, he may not be the one who is trying to be the authority figure. It could be the producers trying to baptize him in that role and convincing him to talk to other couples and other husbands. It's like, that ain't his role, but I digress. I digress once more. Let me tell you this. And I put this as the very first thing I put in my notes before the show started. I feel like this season, the couples are getting together entirely too much. And this is what I mean. Every season, they have 5 couples, right? They put them up in the same apartment complex to live for 8 weeks because it's neutral territory and blah, 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 blah. That's fine. So, of course, occasionally the girls are getting together, guys getting together. Occasionally we're getting together as couples. But I feel like them getting together all together as couples, and even the girls and the guys, I feel like that's happening way too much because a couple things are happening. You're going to these girls and these guys to get advice, basically, of your marital troubles. And again, the people you're asking for advice are people who have been married just as long as you have. They're not the people that's going to give you the kind of advice that you need. So I'd much rather see these men and women calling up the experts or hanging out with their married friends or just getting advice, pulling, energy from other people. And then when they all get together, you run the risk of, that couple who maybe hasn't gone as far, the couple who hasn't had sex, the couple who hasn't kissed or whatever. You run the risk of now they are just comparing their marriage to everybody else's. And in doing that, you're setting unfair and unnecessary expectations on your spouse that they can't possibly meet. Because you can't sit there as a couple and watch these other couples kissing and hugging and be like, how come we don't do that? And why don't we do this? And I don't understand because they're at this point and we're not. And it's like, I'm not him and you're not her, so obviously we're not going to be at the same level. And it just turns into an argument later on and a depression because you're like, yo, is something wrong with me or something wrong with my spouse that we're not as far ahead as these other couples? I feel like that's dangerous to bring them together so often. So that really bothers me that they're doing that this season. This season especially just feels like it's way too much. So that was my little timeout. So back to Mirla and Gill. One thing that Gill did that I was like, oh, Gill, please, no, don't do this. The episode starts with Mirla and Gill going salsa dancing with Zach and Michaela. So I'm going to get to Zach and Michaela right after this. But basically, again, Gill's like the self-appointed couples therapist, and he's talking to Michaela about the experience of salsa dancing because she wasn't really feeling it, and she may not have tried as hard as other people would have tried. And so Gil's like, so do you think that's right? He really wants to do this. So do you think that you really tried? Maybe you should have tried a little harder, because it's all about, in marriage, it's all about doing stuff that makes you uncomfortable. And because we know that Michaela's sisters call her Hurricane K, because we know that, she has an attitude, she's been chilled the past few episodes, but we've seen her fiery attitude come out a time or two. In my head and in my nose, I was like, Gill, watch it now. Like, Gill needs to remember, I am Zach's friend. I'm one of the husbands. It is not my job to question Michaela on her loyalty to her husband and her loyalty to the marriage. That ain't got nothing to do with you, Gill. Watch the step, because she'll blow up in a minute. And Mirla, I feel like Mirla is just a person that's going to stay to the side. Like, well, she said what she said, and he said what he said, and I'm staying out of it. That's none of my business. And I was very fearful that it was going to get ugly really quickly. Unfortunately, it didn't. But I was like, Gil, watch a step, boo. Don't say nothing. Just keep it quiet. But nothing happened, fortunately. But again, I want to get to my last point about how I think the couples are spending too much time together. So again, they went salsa dancing, Michaela and Zach and Gil and Mill. So we're going to jump over to Michaela and Zach now. Michaela did annoy me. They go salsa dancing. Michaela, I guess, did not want to go salsa dancing, but she went anyway. So the instructor is teaching them the steps, has the guys on this side of the room, girls on this side, and he's showing them the steps. And then after a while, she was like, like basically, I guess she wasn't getting it. So she took a step back and then she sat down. I was like, no, I'm done. No, I tried. I'm fine. No, I'm good. And made Zach dance with the instructor. Now, let me tell you something. My husband would never. Like, the instructor's a man, so Zach literally has his hand on the man's waist. He's like genuinely trying to learn these steps, and he is following the instructor, and he's doing what he needs to do, and he's having fun because he's always wanted to go salsa dancing, and so he wanted to take Michaela to do this thing that he's always wanted to do. Again, my husband would never. He's not about to stand up there and dance with no man while I sit out and just watch. So I was like, Michaela, how you gonna make your husband dance with another man? And then I don't know if she, because in the beginning it wasn't clear, like, did she stop because she wasn't getting it? Was she scared of being embarrassed? I thought this was another Vincent situation. Vincent is from last season Married at First Sight. He went salsa dancing with his wife. And because he couldn't get the steps and he felt foolish and he felt embarrassed, he had a big attitude. But he was trying, but he was just like, oh, he just felt it was all about his machismo. I'm embarrassed. I'm not doing this right. It doesn't feel right. I have my attitude. But that wasn't it at all. They sat down and Gil's asked me, like, what happened? And Zach's like, what's going on? Like, did you feel like uncomfortable? Like, he's really trying to get to the heart of it. Were you just uncomfortable with it? Blah, blah, blah. And she was like, no. She's like, I just didn't want to do it. And I feel like that's such an immature thing to say, because it's not like he blindfolded you before you got there. It's not like this was a surprise. You knew when you got in the car that, oh, we're going salsa dancing. Matter of fact, I'm sure you knew before y'all got to the car that, oh, I talked to, Gill and Mirla, and, we decided we want to go salsa dancing. Do you want to come? That was her chance to say, no, I'm not really into salsa dancing. I don't think I want to go. You could have easily said no. You really could have. And if you decide to go, then that means you need to give it a shot, knowing that this is something your husband really wants to do. If y'all are married out there in a relationship, then y'all already know. There'll be plenty of times that you will do or say things that you may not necessarily care about because it's important to your spouse, right? My husband is in 2 fantasy football leagues. I do not even watch football anymore. I don't care nothing about these leagues. But yesterday I sat on the couch with him and talked to him for 30 minutes about how he's doing in the league, who he's beating, who he's planning to play on Sunday. And I asked him because I know it's something that he cares about. And he knows I don't really care. But I still listened and I still asked questions and I still showed interest in something my husband is interested in. And all it takes is that little bit for him to be like, oh, that was cool. That was a nice conversation. My wife cares. That's all people need to know, is that you care, that you made the effort, that you showed up. And so for Michaela not to show up in that moment, I was just really irritated with her. And then she goes on to talk about that basically she didn't try and didn't want to be there because of something Zach said at least 1 or 2 days ago when they were on a date. And he said something to the effect of, I don't see us making it at the end of this experiment. I'm hoping we do, but it's doubtful in my head. I don't see a light at the end of the tunnel. So she took that, internalized that, became hurt by his statement, feeling unwanted basically by him. And instead of addressing it with him right then and there, she lets 2 days go by. And then she discusses everything, a word vomit of how she feels. And I want to be wanted. And I want a husband who does this. And I want this. Da, 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 da. Vomits all of this in front of Gill and Mirla. That is none of their business. What are you doing? And again, like, I know this is new for everybody and they're trying to figure things out, but you don't air your dirty laundry like that in front of other people. Now, granted, Gill and Mirla are cool, so maybe if y'all all really tight, maybe, but even then, you don't talk about that stuff in front of them if you haven't at first had that one-on-one conversation with Zach. So that's what bothered me the most, because I feel like from Zach's perspective, especially how hard how hard he claims that he really wants this marriage, how much he really wants to be the best husband ever, how much he wants this to work out. Like, he's not hopeful, but he really wants it to work out because he's always wanted to have a family, always wanted to have a wife. Knowing how he feels about that and knowing that you are unhappy in this is already hitting something in him that, dag, she's not happy, so I must not be doing something on my end, and that hurts me that I'm not doing my part. But not only that, but that you're telling other people that you're not satisfied in this marriage, which again is putting him on blast that, oh, Zach isn't doing his job. Because it's one thing for him to know that or him to think that, but then for other people to be witnesses to it, that's a lot. So I was fully expecting him to kind of blow up and just be like, nah, because what do you mean? Da, 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 da. And he didn't do that. So I was actually very proud of Zach. I thought he handled it very well. He listened. He was very good at communicating his feelings to Michaela and his thought process. And of course, Gill jumped in to help, them understand each other, whatever. But I thought that was the wrong time, wrong place. I really had an issue with her talking about all of that in front of another couple and even holding on to that for however long she held on to it. Like, if you really felt that way, then you should have talked to Zach about it that night that he made that statement. That conversation should have happened. If not that night, then the next night. If not the next night, then hey, don't go salsa dancing. Knowing this is all in your heart and knowing that you feel some type of way and it's really bugging you, then you should have just bowed out from salsa dance. Like, no, I'm not really up to it. I think we need to talk. Either way, I wasn't really here for that whole scene. I thought that was really just immature, and I don't think she was being calculating or anything like that, but I thought it was kind of an immature way to handle it. She was still calm in what she was saying, but also the way she was talking about how she feels and what she wants from a husband and all that stuff. I felt she was also talking about Zach to Gill as if Zach wasn't there, and that bothered me too. So wasn't really a fan of that. But then they had their 1 month anniversary, and she surprised him and took him to this music studio, and there were roses. Like, everyone had roses and candles everywhere. That was the theme for all the romance for the most part. So they had roses and they had candles, and he played the piano for her and was teaching her some notes, and they had this conversation about their relationship and all that fun stuff. And they were like, well, I just want, you to be happy. And he's like, yeah, and I can tell that you're trying and it's great and blah, 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 blah. And one thing she said, because he asked her, how do you think the past month has been? And she's like, I'm learning that marriage is a constant learning process. And I put in my notes, that's really all marriage is. Marriage is constantly learning. You're learning about yourself. You're learning about your spouse. You're learning about what kind of wife or husband that your spouse needs. You're learning about what kind of wife or husband you need. You're learning how to please your partner. You're learning how to communicate how you want to be pleased. And then as you are with that person for a long period of time, your wants and your needs and your desires change and morph. And now you have to learn each other all over again. So it is constantly learning and growing and adjusting and changing. And all that can be really exhausting. So that's why they say marriage is not for the faint of heart. Some people don't want to go through all that on a regular basis. But, if you love the person and they're willing to go on the journey with you, then it's worth it in the end. I guess, not encouraging anybody to get married or not get married. I like it, but, it's definitely not for everybody either. And another thing that she said that I thought was just a word, I really liked the way she phrased it. She was like, I think we are experiencing negatives, but I don't think there are any negatives in being married. It's like, and I feel like that's what should sustain a marriage. Realizing that, yes, we have our low spots. We have some things that are going down that maybe neither one of us likes. But that doesn't mean that as a marriage, we have a bad marriage. That just means we have some negative spots within our marriage that we can tackle one-on-one. But overall, the idea of marriage is not negative. I still like being married. I still like being married to you specifically. But let's just deal with some of these negative things that we got going on. I just really like the way she phrased it. I thought it was cute. And they both admitted that they wouldn't change anything that's happened. And then because they missed the honeymoon, because Zach had COVID, he arranged for a staycation in a nice hotel. And again, more candles, more rose petals. It was really sweet. He got her a bracelet with their wedding date on it, which was really nice. And so at this point of the show, again, I'm like 30, 40 minutes behind everybody else on my group chat. But my uncle sent me a text message like, hey, in your review, make sure you mention how Zach and Michaela left the hotel because they were starving, probably from their hotel activities. They were starving and went to go get something to eat early in the morning. And I was like, what? Because I saw the text before I saw the scene. And I was like, I'm confused. But then I was like, oh, I get it. So it shows them getting under the covers. First of all, I thought it was weird because they both had a robe on. Who gets under the covers wearing a robe? What do I know? But they get under the covers wearing a robe, and then the next scene is them at a restaurant. They're like, yeah, we were starving, so we found this restaurant that's open till 4 a.m, and we decided to get something to eat. So again, and I understand what my uncle's saying now. They got under the covers with their robe, took the robes off, probably did the nasty 2, 3, 4 times. They're a little on the younger side, so maybe they did it multiple times. Worked up such an appetite that we got to put our dress clothes back on and go out and get something to eat because, we are just famished. So we'll say that's what happened. And Michaela realized that she loved Zach, and she told him that she loved him. He says that he's growing in that direction, but she said that she loved him. So I thought that was sweet. Okay, I want to end with Bal and Johnny, but I feel like some stuff happened with everybody. So I'm going to say Rachel and Jose. I still don't like Jose. Now, I understand from Rachel's perspective, he genuinely has apologized, because if you guys did not see the episode last week, go look at my recap and review of episode 10. Like, you just pause this video, open up a new window on your, not new window, new tab on your computer, type in Mama's Wife of One, go to season 13, episode, what is, we're on 11, episode 10, read, watch the whole video, and then come back, and then you'll understand why I really don't like Jose. So basically, though, Rachel and Jose finally get together and have a discussion after everything that happened last week. And her main thing is, I feel like I have not received a genuine apology from you. So, and I love the fact that she calls him on it, because he says that he's sorry, but before he says he's sorry, he gives an excuse for what he did and then says, I'm sorry. She's like, no, that doesn't count. She's like, you don't leave with excuses and then tell me you're sorry. You bury the apology, so I don't believe that's genuine. And then at some point he gives a genuine one and she's appreciative of it. But what I thought was interesting, and it made me roll my eyes like, dude, are you kidding me? He basically promises to her that he's going to hold himself accountable. He's like wrote down promises, so he's going to hold himself accountable. He'll never lock her out of the apartment again. Watch the other recap if you want to know what I'm talking about. He will check up on her more. He will actively listen to her and make eye contact. He'll promise to be less controlling and let her be the independent woman that she is. And I put in my notes, yeah, right, because that's not an easy fix. He's used to kind of doing things his way. So I think that'll be the hardest promise for him to keep. And he promises to handle his anger, his temper, and his aggression better. Now, one thing I thought was interesting is that he said, coming into this process, I didn't think I had issues. And I was like, what kind of adult doesn't realize that they have issues? And that means that if you really didn't think you had issues, that means in all of your past relationships that ended, you put all the blame on those women because you didn't recognize any issues you had. That's kind of dangerous. And I feel like, some people may say like, oh, well, it just took the right woman to, have these issues come out, or not even the right woman, it just took, a marriage. And I feel like, once you know some issues, like major issues like that, like your temper, like your controllingness, that fact that you don't listen to nobody, those are big issues that I feel like need to be handled, or you need therapy to work through them before you enter into a relationship. And the fact that he wasn't aware of any issues he had before getting married is like, how do you not know? Not even one? Not really? Not one? I thought that was really weird for an adult not to recognize even one thing that I got, that's, I won't say wrong, but one quirk or one tick or one whatever that's just not conducive to a healthy relationship. I thought that was a very strange thing to say. And let me see. Oh, and another note that I put is that when you are in a relationship, you're doing things based off of that person for the most part. If you're in a loving relationship, they're doing things for you, you're doing things for them to make them feel comfortable, to make them feel safe, to make them feel loved and wanted and appreciated. The relationship ends for whatever reason. When you get to that next relationship, you can't do the same things. And that's the issue I think a lot of these couples are running into, is that what's worked for them in the past, or what they think worked for them in the past, they're applying that to this new relationship. They're like, oh, but I always do this, or this always works. But this is a new relationship. A new relationship, a new person completely. And again, just like Michaela said, marriage is about learning. So now you have to relearn how to communicate with this person. Because Jose says like, oh, relationship was fine. I didn't realize anything wrong with it. I didn't realize I didn't listen to people. That's because you always talked. And you're with people who just allowed you to talk and didn't really say anything. But now you're with somebody who likes to talk and communicate as well. And she's showing you, okay, what you've been doing all this time is having a monologue with people. You were not having a dialogue. There was no actual discussion. It was you just saying, I think we should do this. I think we should do this. This is my plan for us. This is this, and this is this. But it took someone showing him, okay, what you did before doesn't work for me. I like to have a say so as well. I also like to pick things out. I also like to do blah, 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 blah. So, any relationship you're in, you have to adjust. You can't do the same things. And I feel like he's learning that. Some of the other couples may be learning that. And I feel like that's a key ingredient that a lot of people sign up for the show forget. That, yes, this is new for everybody, but it only works if you take the time to figure out what your partner needs and then you actively do that thing. But again, if they need to do that for you as well. It's a whole big mess. Again, still not a fan of Jose. He says he's going to do all this stuff, and maybe he will, maybe he won't. I ain't gonna do with it. Their 1 month anniversary is spent on the baseball field, which I thought was sweet because she talked about how much she loves baseball and she had gone to the World Series by herself before. So they're on the baseball field and they have baseball jerseys and they have mitts and they're like playing catch with each other and they have this cute little romantic dinner right on the field. So it was cute without being like sappy. Like, it was really cute. I thought it was really sweet. I really liked that. And he finally relented on them not having joint accounts. That was his big thing. It was like, I know when you have joint accounts, and that way I'll take the money out for bills and whatever's left over, you can just use that for whatever, but we should have joint accounts from the beginning, blah, 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 blah. And she kept saying, I don't want to do that. I think we should have separate accounts. I don't think anything's wrong with that. So he finally relented on having the separate accounts, and I'm so glad that she stuck to her guns, because whether the marriage survives or not, at the end of the day, bro, I've only known you for 4 weeks. I'm not putting my money with yours. Like, yes, we're building trust and we're building love, but I'm not there yet. We ain't doing none of that. So I'm glad that she stuck to her guns and glad that he finally was like, okay, that's okay. And she said that she used to feel pressure to fit into his molds. She feels good about where they are, and she doesn't regret the conflict that they had. And I realized that they needed that conflict in order to address some of these issues that they previously swept under the rug. Because everything else was going so well, and we're getting along so well, and it's great, and I like you, and you like me, and we're having sex, and we're kissing, and we're going out, we're doing all this stuff. Because everything's on the surface seemed really well, it's easy to not want to rock the boat and to not want to stir anything up. So things that may annoy you here and there, it's very easy to be like, oh, that's just something small. Just sweep that under the rug and not really talk about it. And then after a while, everything blew up because there were so many things that they did not talk about. So I am glad they got a chance to talk everything out. We'll see if he holds true to the promises he made to her. Again, I never cared for Jose like that before, but now I'm like, definitely giving him the side eye. I just don't know. I don't know. I don't want to assume, but I just don't like Jose as a person. That's just me, and I don't care. Sticking to that. We're going to go to Brett and Ryan. I do not like Ryan. I will say that. I don't think Ryan is a bad person. I think that Brett really is just a victim of being with someone who just does not like her and is not attracted to her. That is not her fault. Because he's admitted, like, Brett is so important to me. I really like her. She's such a sweet person. She's this, she's that. But I'm just not feeling that spark. I'm not feeling those butterflies. I'm not feeling, their 1 month anniversary, they went to a movie theater and they watched their wedding on the big screen. And he was just like, watching the video made me sad because I remember how full of hope I was. And now, I don't feel as strongly as I did that first day. Like, my hope is waning. And it's like, again, Brett doesn't deserve this. She's done nothing whatsoever to deserve this. She cooks for him. She's like there for him. She's ready like for sex. She's like, yeah, I don't know if she's told him. That's the other thing. They don't have deep conversations like that, at least not on camera. So I don't know how much past the surface they've actually gone in their communication and in terms of what they want in general. But he has told her that he doesn't feel the butterflies, and she's been very upfront with all the things that she likes about him. And she said to at least the talking head that she's ready for sex. She's ready to take this to another level. She's ready for Ryan to make that move. He's not going to. And I feel like part of it is him not being all the way attracted to her. But I think the other part of it is that Brett is also the person who has, before entering into the experiment, had not kissed the guy or been intimate with the guy in over 2 years. So I feel like because of that, Ryan, if he ever does have sex with her, he's going to allow Brett to make the first move. Because it's been so long since she's been out of the pocket on that she has to be the one to say, okay, I'm actually ready, let's do this. And then I started thinking about Chris from last season, who, if you watch Married at First Sight, we all remember he's the a-hole. But I was thinking, what's worse? having sex with someone with the hopes that you're going to like them or be more attracted to them, or rejecting your spouse, rejecting them sex because you're not attracted to them. I feel like, I don't know. I don't know what's worse. Like, I was thinking about that last night, and I don't know if I know. I'm going to assume that Chris's was worse because I don't know. I really don't know, because I feel like if Brett tries to initiate sex and Ryan rejects her because he's not attracted to her, that's going to hurt her so much, because she already feels rejected from him because they haven't gone as far as the other couples, because they haven't had sex, because he still doesn't feel those butterflies. And the whole point was that he's not really trying. He's not, making an effort. So he made the effort and did the scavenger hunt around the house, which I thought was cute, but I was like, you could do a little bit more than this. This is cute, but it's like, okay. And the scavenger hunt was just around the house, and it ended up in her getting a gift card or something. I was like, again, I thought it was cute, but I feel like scavenger hunt is something you can like do with your friends. I don't think it's really a husband thing to do with your wife. I was like, it's just okay. And then they ended it with the hug. Like, I don't think he initiates kissing her really. And it's like, I don't feel like he's making the effort he thinks that he's making. It just doesn't really seem like it's there. And also, her dog passed away, Baxter. I like dogs, so that made me really sad for her. And the day that he passed away was the day they celebrated the 1 month anniversary. So the fact that she still showed up and was still trying to be in the moment with him was like, it's clear that Brett is trying. Ryan is not. And so I'm not a fan of him. I'm not a fan of him as a husband. As a dude, he seems okay. He seems, kind of all right. But as a husband, I'm not really feeling him. And so, yeah, he's not on my list. I just don't like the dude. I don't like him for her. Brett needs more than what he's able to give her, I think. Bal and Johnny. Now, I have this separated into them by themselves and then some notes of when they all got together. So Bal and Johnny went skydiving for their 1 month anniversary. It was something Bal's always wanted to do. So I loved that. I thought that was a really fun activity. I love that when they both landed on the ground, Bal ran into his arms and just smothered his face in kisses. She was just so happy to do this specifically with him, and I really, really liked that. And so they are talking afterwards. They're eating lunch, and he's like, oh, so how do you think this month has been? Basically like, okay, what can we both do to like fix things or to make things better? And he was like, I need more flirtiness. I need, like, for him, this is how sex works in his world. Throughout the day, we text each other, silly, flirty, maybe nasty, freaky things. So when we finally see each other, it's like, bam, I have to have you. Let's have sex right now. That's what he wants. He wants that build up. He wants the flirtiness. He wants all of that. And then she's like, well, I need more of, I need you to initiate things. Like, I feel like I'm always initiating physical stuff. I want you to initiate things. I want to, you want to feel wanted. Like, that's basically what she's saying without saying those words. She's like, I want you to initiate more. And so we both need to work on that. So he goes to visit his female friend to get some advice. So does she. And the female friend's basically telling Johnny, like, it sounds like Bal wants you to initiate more, so why don't you do that? She's like, you're not shy, so why don't you just, give her what she needs? And I'm sure once you give her what she needs, she'll give you what you need. Like, that's kind of how a relationship works. Like, if both people are asking for something, and I do feel like what they're both asking for is not unreasonable. I think it's perfectly fine that Johnny wants to be flirted with. I think it's perfectly fine that Bal wants him to initiate more. Reasonable request, but both of you have to be willing to give an inch, at least a little bit. Give each other a little bit of what you guys need so that you guys can both be satisfied and fulfilled and happy. And so I don't know if she's never done that, or one thing she did say is that I'm gonna go to this is the group dinner. This is where everything kind of went south. Has some notes here. Basically, I put that he wants more foreplay and she wants more initiation, which I said before. And he admitted, this was a couple weeks ago when Pastor Kyle came to visit, that was the thing that made me mad. The whole thing of him initiating more, this isn't the first time that she said that to him. She said it when Pastor Cal came to visit them a couple weeks ago and basically told him, like, I feel like I'm initiating all of the physical intimacy, and I want you to initiate more. And he basically said, I don't initiate it because, to summarize it, your joy annoys me. The way she expresses her joy in his mind is kind of childlike and immature, and it's a turnoff for him, so therefore he's not initiating. Which is already a dumb thing to say, but I digress. Again, look at past videos, because I was too through with him when he said that. But it's like, okay, she's telling you once again, this is what I need from you. And you're telling her what you need. So now both of you need to do the things to satisfy each other, right? So keep that in mind as we go to the dinner. So the last scene of the episode is all 5 couples met up for dinner and talked about, of course, Gill was the ringleader. And it's like, so you guys, it's been a month, are we all falling in love or falling in like where are we? So all the couples are, expressing themselves. And of course, Rachel and Jose were like, we've been through our rough spot, but I think we're in a really good spot now. We're back to loving each other. Everything is really good. I feel like we're stronger. Michaela's like, I love Zach. I told him he and I are doing really well. The communication is great. And I know that this is my person. Like, he's a phenomenal man. And I know that this is the person for me. Gil's like, I really like Mirla. I'm definitely, on the route to falling in love with her. I think she's great. And Mirla's like, yes, I'm choosing to love Gil because he's just such a wonderful man. He's an awesome husband. And he's so sweet. He's blah, 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 blah. And then, of course, you have Brett and Ryan, who are sitting there looking sad because Brett's like, I shouldn't be jealous of other couples. I shouldn't compare myself, but it's hard not to. And again, that's why it's dangerous to keep having these couples get together. Like, that's not necessary. Let them focus on their own marriage without having to worry about what other people are doing and where other people are in their journey. That's none of their business. And that's going to hinder them doing their best in their own individual marriage. Again, I digress. So Brett is just like, well, it's difficult, but, I'm showing up. Brett is a great person. I think she's a great girl. I care about her a lot, and I'm constantly showing up to be there for her. That's basically what he said without admitting whether he's falling in like or love. And Brett kind of said the same thing. She was like, I'm here, and I'm hopeful that things are going to get better. And Gil picked up on that because in the past episode, Brett confessed to Gil and Mirla and Jose that she doesn't know where she stands with Ryan, that he doesn't really talk about whether he likes her and if he does what he does like. She's like, I feel like I just don't know. So I like that Gil sympathized with her, and he's like, Gil said he feels for Brett because he knows her feelings are not being reciprocated, and he feels bad for her. And you could clearly see that, they were looking kind of sad compared to all the other couples who have their arm around each other or leaning into each other. They're just kind of sitting there like, well, we'll see what happens. Then we get to Bal and Johnny. Now, the question was from Gil, are you falling in love? Are you falling in like? Each person answered individually. They didn't answer for their spouse. They did not answer as a couple. They said individually, this is how I feel, this is how I feel, this is how I feel. That's what everybody's doing. So with Bal and Johnny, Bal answers. She says, honestly, I feel like I am still 100% in this. I am trying my best. I cook, I do gourmet meals, I bake. And the whole time she's talking, Johnny is looking so disgruntled, and he's just like subtly shaking his head no. Then he does his talking, he's like, she's lying. She's cooked once. That's all she's done. And so he's already pissed off because he thinks that everything about to come around is a lie. So then she says, Johnny needs more from me. Like, he needs me to flirt with him. He essentially wants me to do these things. She's like, and I definitely want to try. I've never had to do that before. Not had to do that, but she's like, I've never done that before. I've always been courted, but I really want to try to be the thing that he needs me to be and to do what he needs me to do. So her whole thing is, this is part of what I'm struggling with, but I am trying. Only speaking for herself. At no point did she say, well, Johnny's not doing this, and Johnny ain't doing that. Let me tell you what Johnny said. At no point, because all the things she's saying to him is all the stuff that they communicated to each other. So it's not like she's saying anything new. She's not saying something that they're not going to see on camera later on. She's being open and honest about her own journey or her own struggles. What Johnny hears is Bal is saying that she's doing all of this stuff. She's implying that I'm not doing anything. She's implying that I'm not really in this. She's implying that I'm needy. Bal said none of that to anybody at this table. So the fact that you're internalizing all of that stuff means you have your own guilt about what you're asking her to do, or about what you yourself aren't willing to do for her. Like, you are internalizing all of that, and now you're projecting it onto her when she said nothing of the sort to this table, because they're all just like, okay. Nobody, she didn't throw any arrows his way. And the fact that he felt personally attacked is, again, that's your own personal stuff. There's something inside of you that knows that you were not right for the show. You're not right for Bal. You're not right to be a husband in this stage of your life. But instead of admitting that to yourself and admitting that you are falling short in some areas, you're putting all of it on Bal. So this Bama is sitting at the table like a little 3-year-old, ripping up rose petals as they fall dramatically to his plates. And so his plate is filled with these torn rose petals, like broken hearts. And, they asked him, like, oh, Johnny, what do you think? How do you feel? And he was like, I feel like I want to say a lot of things, but I want to say them to my wife and not in front of everyone. They're like, okay, Johnny, that's cool, that's fine. So they go on about their business. They're still talking, whatever. He's so in his feelings. So he gets up and he walks away. And it's like, oh, I'm going to the bathroom, guys. So he goes outside, and who comes outside to give him his advice? His old buddy Jose, who knows nothing either. And Johnny turned it into, she's effing lying in there, man. She doesn't cook and she doesn't do this. He's like, I just realized, like, Bal just needs to be liked by people. That's just who I'm married to. Like, what am I going to do with her? Like, who wants to make themselves look so good in front of other people? It's like, what are you talking about? Where is any of this coming from? Why are you tripping? So out of everything, and the fact, I don't hold any hope for Jose, but if you all noticed, the only thing he said she lied about was the fact that she said she cooks gourmet meals. So that means everything else she said was true, right? Because you didn't complain about that. But then he's like, and I think it's talking head is like, yeah, she's saying she's trying. Like, you're not effing trying. So hold up. She told you twice that she needs you to initiate more, but have you initiated anything? Okay, so that means you're not trying either. But now we're going to put everything on Bal. Again, you're internalizing stuff that you yourself are not doing. You told her that you need X, Y, and Z. You need flirtation. You need blah, 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 blah. So now you're saying she's lying because she's not trying to do any of that stuff. You're not trying with her. She told you twice what she needs, and your own friend told you need to initiate more, and you're still not doing it with her. But everything is her fault, and she's not really trying. You're not either, because every single episode, you're looking for a reason to run. You are keeping, just like everyone always laughed about because she has all these Excel spreadsheets. In his mind, he has an internal Excel spreadsheet where he is listing all of these things and the con item of Bal. This is why she's not a good wife. This is why I don't need to be married to her. This is why I'm going to ask for divorce. He has his list piled up in his head, and I can guarantee you when decision day comes, he's going to roll out every single thing that's on his list. Like, okay, well, on day one, I saw this, and then on the honeymoon, I saw this, and and this is why I'm going to ask for divorce. That's what I think is going to happen. I feel like he's just making excuses. He's purposely looking for things to find wrong with her, especially, not just with being married, but with her specifically. This is what's wrong. And the problem is that that's what you've been doing your whole life, which is why you had 100 first dates and why you've never been close to getting married before, because you're constantly looking for the wrong things, not the wrong things. You're constantly looking for things that don't fit with what you want, as opposed to focusing on the good things that you have. That's his problem. And that's what I've been saying from the very beginning. He should not have signed up for Married at First Sight. He should have signed up for a show where you're paired with a matchmaker who can help you go on dates so you can have a meaningful relationship, not a marriage, because it's a huge leap to go from dating constantly, serial dating, to being married. That's a big leap, and everybody isn't ready for that. You need to have a transition period for that, and he didn't have it. So now he's treating this like he's trapped basically on a never-ending first date that he cannot end until 8 weeks are up. He's on an 8-week first date in his mind. And it's just annoying because I feel like he doesn't know what he wants. And it's like too many people have an idea of what they want, but they fail to realize once you get with the person, A, they may not have everything that you want. B, you may have to reevaluate your list to figure out the things you actually need versus the things you want. And C, that person also has a list of the things that they want and require in a relationship. So that means that you coming in with this list, you have to be prepared to start changing some of your things to meet their needs as well. And I feel like Johnny is not one of those people. He came in like, this is the kind of marriage I think I want, the kind of wife I think I want. It never dawned on him that, oh, she may be requiring things from me that I'm not able to do, or things that I've never had to do before. So let me start thinking of how I'm going to make these changes and shift and adjust and all that stuff. That didn't cross his mind. Because if it did, he'd be like, okay, cool. So my wife wants this. Okay, so let me figure this out. Okay, she doesn't like that. Okay, so let me adjust that. And I feel like he has not done that at all. So it's hard for me to even say I like Johnny, because I used to like Johnny as a person. I'll say I still like Johnny as a person. I don't like Johnny at all as a husband. He is not great. I just don't think he was ready. He was not ready to do this. Ryan is not attracted to Brett. She's a gorgeous girl. And she's so sweet and honest. She deserves a lot more. Gill and Mirla, I'm rooting for them because I actually really like them together. Zach and Michaela did well this episode, but I don't like the fact that she was immature and she didn't talk to him before getting with the other couple. She should have kind of expressed herself beforehand. But I like how much they've grown in terms of expressing themselves and talking about what they need. I think that that's a good sign. Rachel and Jose, still not a big fan of Jose. I still hate the fact that whenever he kisses her, he has to hold her neck. That makes me uncomfortable. I don't like that. But yeah, that's my review. That's my recap. My predictions. They have 4 weeks left of this experiment. Just based off last night, Michaela and Zach and Gil and Mirla and Rachel and Jose will make it. Bal and Johnny and Brett and Ryan will not make it. That was based off of last night, not overall, but just based off of last night, those are my predictions. So if you would disagree or if there's other things you want to talk about, please comment below. I love seeing your comments. Don't forget to hit the like button too. Sometimes I'll have hundreds of views and only like 1 or 2 likes. So it really helps me out a lot if you guys can like the video, if you can share and subscribe and click the notification bell. If you, like I said, like, comment, do all those things. And I will see you guys next week. Thank you guys. Peace.